Futsal Champions Series on FCS Live.
We're NMDP, and we're out here saving lives, relentlessly seeking donors so patients can live their dreams. Like Mia's dream of finding a match and pressing play on life, Noah's dream of climbing the ladder, or Zoe's dream of a tiny house and a giant dog. Together, we have the power to cure blood disorders like leukemia and sickle cell disease. But we need more donors, people, and the donor we need could be you.
Committing a crime so you can try to escape from prison. Bad idea. Go into the pod escape room to play an escape game with your friends. Great idea. Test your skill as an astronaut in outer space. Find Santa in Save Christmas. Or take a vacation to an abandoned island. Just don't get stuck there. The Pod Escape Room. Learn more at thepodlansing.com.
Together, we have the power to cure blood disorders like leukemia and sickle cell disease. But we need more donors, people. And the donor we need could be you.
There were 3 red cards in that game.
3 red cards. You could see it on their faces, like they would hit the post again, and they'd be like, "What is happening?"
And they only gave up 4 goals,
but it wasn't competitive.
In 40 minutes.
It wasn't competitive.
4 goals.
A sign that a fan has made. A fan of Down Futsal made it. Chicago House is grabbing the sign, holding it up, and they're passing it around.
The ball sticks to his feet. Like, I don't think that you should have seen him at practice last night. He was just toying with this. I ain't gonna lie.
What level of crazy do you need to be a goalkeeper in futsal?
11. 11. No one woke up one day and said, I want to be a keeper today. I didn't want to be a goalie.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Third Half podcast on this amazing Thursday night. Just a little over 1 week left in the season. Can you believe it? Ladies and gentlemen, playoffs continue this weekend. 2 semifinal matches, women's play-in, and then on March 28th, a week from Saturday, have a finals day all day long. Futures finals, women's final, men's final. It is going to be, I'm so excited. I hope you all are too. As we continue our little mini series called The Journey, we're going to bring in a couple of special guests today. Later on, we're going to have Yuridia Hernandez of Chicago House to talk about how their season has gone and how they are awaiting the winner of the play-in match this Saturday to see who they'll face in the final. That is going to be at the end of the show tonight. special segment there that we were able to pre-record with Jake George and Yuridia, so stay tuned for that. We're going to talk about the matches up close this weekend. And to kick it all off, we're going to welcome a special guest once again to the third half. He's been on here a couple of times this year already, and we want to get his thoughts on how things have gone for Shoreline City up to this point. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the podcast Alex Mendez of Shoreline City. Alex, how's it going, man? Thanks for joining.
How you doing, Jared? Thank you for having me, man. Once again, it's always nice to get on it. So,
yeah, we're glad to have you. This Shoreline team, brand new to the FCS. First time. I mean, I know you've been playing, either soccer or street soccer or, all kinds of, whatever it would be for a long time. But for Shoreline, first time, in futsal for some of these players. Might be the first time in a while. I actually is kind of where I want to start is when was the last time before this year that you were playing in competitive futsal?
yeah, if I remember correctly, I think it was with Olay, maybe I think 2 years ago when they were still in the MPSL. Fabian asked me to play with them that season, and then after that, my daughter came and I didn't really have time anymore. So then we got the opportunity, with Shoreline, where, we knew Cody from the Muskegon Risers, and, he was starting this up. So, he got in touch with me and I was like, man, we can build a good team. So we ended up working on it together, and I found some good players. And then when the rest of the players that tried out, I think we ended up building a good team. So I think it's looking pretty good so far, and we got the semis this season, and then hopefully the final.
Yeah, tell me about what it was like early on when you were starting to put this together. You got connected with Cody. How did those pieces kind of come together? When was the first time you guys actually all started training together?
Yeah, so it started in the summer. I think he joined that summer showcase. At the time he had already done tryouts, I think. So he had a list of players that were already on the team. And then, he had me and Aldoni that he asked us to come on and play. We did really good there too, with, never training together and nothing like that. But, then I started giving some thought, hey, if we want to compete, we need to get a couple more players that I knew that I've played with before. Like, for example, Shumo, Lil Danny. I call him Lil Danny, but Danny Masariegos. And then, we got some key players like Aiden. We didn't have Aiden in that. He's made a big difference this season for us too. And of course, Chris, where he followed our family. He goes with family, and he chose family for this. And so it's definitely a great group of boys that we've built for
What
this
was
team.
it like? Yeah, what was it like coming in season, like as you're preparing? You had the national showcase, you and Aldoni, kind of first time you're playing with the team was in that showcase. You guys get to semifinals. I think Chicago House ends up beating you guys in the semifinals. Of course, those are, shortened games and then longer games for the semis and the finals. But then you kind of have this period where you're, getting ready for this. What was it like for you all building up to the beginning? What was the attitude like? What were expectations like? Give us a peek of what that was like for you all.
No, yeah, I mean, we knew we're a team that's coming into a league that's already formed, and people were gonna think, oh, it's just another team that is just starting up. So, but then once they started seeing roster announcements, they started like taking us more serious, and our mentality, not to be cocky or anything, but we always like to try and at least compete to win, and I think it's noticeable. We had that from the beginning. We're like, competition wise, we want to win it. That's the goal. And we got to that first game against Midwest. It started out bad, but then somehow we still came back and we were up. And unfortunately, they tied at the end. But I think the mentality that we have as a team and we had as from the beginning has helped a lot, because we've only grown through every practice. The team only gets better. So definitely excited to see what happens in these next 2 weeks. So
What were the expectations think that you guys have been at those expectations?
Yeah, no, I think we've overpassed it because like I said, the main goal was or is to win it, to at least compete to win it. I think we never thought we would be in this position where we got second place. I don't think many people thought that was gonna happen. I still remember the first show. I think you and Gerard mentioned that we were gonna be, middle of the table or probably towards the end because we're a new team. But I think we proved some people wrong, and we keep working. We keep working to try and hopefully at the end pick that trophy up and lift it up. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, you mentioned about opinions at the beginning of the year. I know when I saw you guys, your last game of the season playing against Lansing, I really felt like there was very, very clearly growth from your team through the year. What do you feel like has been the biggest areas of growth for you guys this year?
I think the maturity. I think we have a lot of young kids on the team this season, and I think with the experience that Aldoni and and we got Matt Jackson, that we've played at higher levels, and I don't want to call Chris older, but he's still young, but just the maturity as a group, and now we're more connected. I think even those away trips, they help a lot to build a team, to build a family, and I think right now we're all in the same boat, like mentality wise. So I think that's the main goal. We give everything in practice to try it, to try and get to that next level. So I think that's definitely helped a lot compared to when we first started.
What do you feel like one of the areas that I felt like I saw a lot of growth was from some of the players that were pieces around you and Chris and Aldoni. What have you seen particularly from the growth of those, particularly like second line players? What have you seen from them this year?
Yeah, no, I think they're some of them they're new to it. It's futsal. Playing in this league could be new to them. They've always had it. They've played when they were younger, but I don't think they've ever like played competitively like they're doing this year. So they definitely, I think, learned a lot. From when we talk in the locker room, or as we train, we always try and do corrections in practice, and try and teach the correct things. Um, so I think them picking it up and being coachable has definitely helped a lot for them to be able to grow in the sport too.
What do you think has been the biggest challenge for you all this year?
The biggest challenge, I think, I don't I don't really know what the biggest challenge could be. I think I know at times, we struggled to complete a game. Definitely towards the beginning of the games. So, but I think that's definitely gotten fixed up throughout the season. Um, and that's always been the biggest goal. Every time we hit second half, we wanna remind each other that we have to finish out the game good. And I think these last couple games we've started out well in the second half. So I think full games was definitely a challenge at the beginning, but I think we've been working on it. So it's looking a lot better.
What's been if you had to pick a highlight for this season so far, what would you pick as a highlight for you guys?
Um, I think the highlight, um, there's a lot of them. I think we had a really good game against Lansing. I think that was definitely a good team. Of course, they were missing some key players as well, but I think we played a good game throughout the whole game. Um, and you even saw it. I could maybe mention, Olay too. The game against Olay, we saw where we're at. We had opportunities to score, and everyone saw that too. Unfortunately, they didn't go in. But I could say, even though we lost, I think we looked pretty good on that court. So I think we'll see what happens, and hopefully we can see them again or see Lansing again in the final. So it'd be
Yeah,
nice.
well, we have a really exciting pair of semifinals. You guys facing Detroit on the other side, Olay and Lansing. I think we're going to have a tremendous, pair of semifinals and final, no matter who is in it. Let's zoom in a little bit on that game against Olay. I'm curious your opinion on how it went for you guys. When I watched it, I felt like both teams seemed like kind of like hesitant at the beginning, and then the second half, I felt like particularly Olay started to pick some things back up and kind of maybe regain some confidence. At least that was kind of what I saw. What was going on for you kind of during that game?
Yeah, no, the way I see it, I think they're definitely a solid team, really good players and a complete team, you can say it for sure. Um, but I think that, the hesitant, we wanted to see where we were at, you know,
Mm,
because we played against each other way too much here in Grand Rapids. Like all
yeah.
those players and, our players, we know each other pretty well. And, one simple mistake can cause a goal. So defensively was definitely important. And I think their biggest thing was, their set plays. The set
Mm,
plays were important because I think they
yeah.
scored like 2 or 3 off of that.
Yeah. It was at
So
least the go ahead, I think. Gabe
yeah,
Gomez
to go
slotted
ahead,
one in. Yeah.
Gabe had a game. Um, but other than that, I think we have to learn from it, and I think slowly we got this week because Detroit's a good team. Work on that as well and be locked in, and I think we could surprise the league. We could surprise everybody. So humbly saying that.
Do you think that if you were to face Olay again in the finals, do you think the feel of the game would be similar to how that first one went, or do you think it would be different?
I think it'd be similar. I think now it could be almost like a classic game. It's a classical. They know that we can be dangerous as well, and they saw it that day. Even a couple of their players are like, with a couple more players, you guys are dangerous. So, but I think our players that we have now, it's the same players, but they've picked it up. So I think both teams know, like us and them, they know that we can be dangerous. So it'll definitely be a really good game. Maybe pack that place out, but
Yeah.
either way, whoever makes it, I think whoever wins this next game is who deserves it.
Yeah.
Fight it out because it's four top teams. So
Yeah. Yeah, I know I'm super pumped for the semis this weekend. And I think it's going to be great futsal and great fun for everyone watching. You mentioned the game against Lansing that you guys just had 2 or 3 weeks ago as your last game of the season, as one that kind of stuck out to you. Do you feel like that was your most complete, best game start to finish? And if not, which game would that be for you?
yeah, I think that one was definitely a solid game for us. I think we had a good one against Chicago um, a couple times, and then you know even against Olay, we played really good. I think we played really good, and it was a full game. Unfortunately, we made some mistakes, but that's why you go back and look at those things so they don't happen again. So I think it's gonna be those 2 games are probably the ones that come to my mind. But I think
Yeah.
Lansing for sure was a solid game from the whole team.
Well,
Um,
if you guys, if you guys win this weekend, you'll face either Olay or Lansing in the finals. Um, but you guys are facing Detroit first. You mentioned that in the semis. It is a home match, but you guys are going to be playing at the Lansing City Arena for the semifinal. You were unfortunately not able to be a part of that match against Detroit in Detroit on a red card. But tell me about this Detroit team and what you think they're going to bring this Friday.
no, yeah, it's a very solid team. I think they're very well organized. They play good futsal movement wise. They're very good. Um, and I knew that I think one of their best players got a red card, I think, towards the beginning. So it's gonna be excited to watch them play with their full team. Us with our full team and see how it goes. But it's definitely gonna be a good game. Um, it's a semifinal too, so everyone wants it. So I think at this point, we got to respect the opponent because they had a great season as well. But I think they feel the same way about us. So
Yeah. And they may even, I mean, you could probably argue for some some element of extra drive, you could say, as they dropped 3 goals to you guys in the final 43 seconds, I think it was, to lose by 2. And it was the second time they had done that. And it's like, I remember talking with Coach Pierce of Detroit. He was like, we were literally like a minute away from being the 2 seed, from being where you guys are at, and waiting, and so they get past the first, the first test, you could say, of Chicago House, and now they're facing you guys, and it's a rematch all over again. Kind of a battle for the number 2. One of the, you were talking about Davide. I think he got a red card early on, but he'll be back there full strength. He had a great performance this last game. Someone who really sticks out for them is their goalkeeper, Emerson Mena. What do you think it's going to take to score on him?
Yeah, I gotta watch the game one more time, but I think he's a solid keeper. Is he the one with the dreads with the long hair or no?
No, he's got like short curly.
Oh,
yeah, it's
okay.
like blonde.
Yeah, because I remember that day that was the other keeper playing. But no, yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're solid keepers. I get the opportunity to train with, Aiden. I think Aiden's easily up there with the top keepers in the league. And, scoring on him is not easy. So I think I've gotten, or even the whole team, has gotten good practice this week, and we've worked on a lot of finishing. So we're excited to see it, and I know the goals will come. The goals will come. So
Yeah. Well, you talk about Aiden. He's in the chat. You mentioned him earlier, and he gave you some hearts in the chat for the support. But he definitely. I think the first game I really remember him coming on the scene for you guys this year was against Ole. I think he made a lot of good saves in that game, and he's shown his ability to make really good saves and keep you guys from giving up goals. So it's pretty amazing. I think we see that for pretty much all the teams that are in these top 4 teams. I think I can confidently say that the goalkeeper or goalkeepers for each team have all been big pieces to success this year. And it's Emerson, and the one you're talking about is Michael Forbes. He's also a great keeper.
Oh, okay.
And I remember last year when Emerson came on the scene, it almost felt awkward for a second for me, because it was like Forbes was like one of the top keepers in the league, and now you had Mena, who is like just another level. So it was kind of like, but I think they've been trying to figure out how they can maybe split and Forbes go more on the flying attack. And but I mean, Emerson and Forbes, and then of course Aiden. You got Ethan Castaneda played amazing this past weekend against Jinga. And then Frankie and Andres both incredible. So a lot of great keepers, a lot of great futsal coming up. Couple more questions and then we'll let you run. If you had to take your guess at the other side of the bracket, who do you think is going to come out on top?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a really good game. Hopefully, like that first game they had. I know I've heard podcasts saying that Ole players have said that it wasn't a good game for them. So I think it go either way. I think if Lansing comes out and plays, I think they have a chance to beat them.
Yeah.
But also, I think Ole is not just gonna let it go that easy. So
yeah,
I think it's gonna be a really good game. I think I have to pick Ole on this one, because I would really like to play him again. That's if we win, but
yeah.
So we that's the goal, play him again. So I'll take Ole.
Crazy stat of the day. We've talked about kind of here in broadcasts a lot that they've yet to lose in the FCS. I went and looked at every game they've played in the FCS since they joined last November, including the friendly in the summer and the tour games or the national showcase games. Since I'm being specific, I should probably go and make sure that this is correct. Mm-hmm. I'll verify. Let me see. Where's my? But I believe the stat is 26-0-1 since they started.
That's crazy.
Yep, 26-0-1 since November 2024, and that one tie was their very first match against Midwest. So they are 26 in a row right now.
That's crazy.
Which is wild. So we'll see. Two more chances this year at most to see them get one in the loss column, or if not, they are going to be back-to-back champs. But the exciting thing for me is that like even if they do complete that like second undefeated season, it's clear that the talent and the ability has grown from last year to this year, and it's like the league is getting better, and the teams are being very competitive. So that's amazing. So awesome. Well, just in the last couple of minutes here, Alex, any particular I don't know, random or fun memory that jumps out at you when you think about this past year? Anything that would be like maybe behind the scenes, something that you guys, like your team, bonded over or something like that?
I think, traveling to Cincinnati, I think it was a little fun trip in the van. I think most of the players were there, and a lot of us, we stayed up, because just to chat it up, and we came back with a win, and we had a far drive, but I think that little trip comes to mind, and we had to go straight to coaching. I think Aiden and I, we got home like at 4 a.m, and I had to go straight to coaching because we had a tournament in Holland with our boys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so I had to go coach at like 7 a.m. So we slept like 2 hours, 2 hours and a half. So it was crazy. But that was a good little trip with the team. I think everybody enjoyed it. So
Wow.
except the drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, except the drive.
Yeah. Wow. Awesome. Well, we're excited to see you in action this Friday, I believe. I know the game was kind of bouncing around, but I believe Friday, 9:15 p.m. in the Lansing City Arena is when Shoreline City is going to square off with Detroit Imperial in the first semifinal. The first berth to the finals will happen on Friday night, so catch it right here. Don't miss it. Alex, thank you so much for jumping on the show tonight. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, no problem, Jared. Thank you for having me again, and see you tomorrow, hopefully. So.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see you then. Stick around. We got some more third half action coming your way right after this.
We're NMDP, and we're out here saving lives, relentlessly seeking donors so patients can live their dreams. Like Mia's dream of finding a match and pressing play on life. Noah's dream of climbing the ladder. Or Zoe's dream of a tiny house and a giant dog. Together, we have the power to cure blood disorders like leukemia and sickle cell disease. But we need more donors, people, and the donor we need could be you.
Committing a crime so you can try to escape from prison. Bad idea. Go into the pod escape room to play an escape game with your friends. Great idea. Test your skill as an astronaut in outer space. Find Santa in Save Christmas. Or take a vacation to an abandoned island. Just don't get stuck there. The Pod Escape Room. Learn more at thepodlansing.com.
Together, we have the power to cure blood disorders like leukemia and sickle cell disease. But we need more donors, people. And the donor we need could be you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Third Half Podcast. Just had a segment with Alex Mendez of Shoreline City. If you missed it, go back, take a listen. He gave some insight to how their season went, what their expectations were coming into the year, and the journey that they took to get to the semifinals this Friday, where they'll take on Detroit Imperial. We're going to talk some more about the games this weekend, recap a little bit about the games from this past weekend. And at the very end, we're going to welcome on Yuridia Hernandez of Chicago House, so don't miss it. Let's move on to the next portion, talking about the upcoming games. I guess first, let's just mention what we saw this past weekend. But I want to see in the chat, what is your pick for the finals? Who is going to make it to the men's final, as well as who is going to challenge Chicago House for the women's final? I saw Shoreline and Ole winning it. I see rooting for Shoreline to dethrone Ole in the finals, so that's 2, Shoreline versus Ole. Lansing at home could shock everyone, but I'll take Ole in a tight one. And I would assume that one coming from Aiden, he's probably saying Shoreline's going to be the other one. So that's 3 Ole and Shorelines in the chat. Let me know what you think. And if you haven't put in there about which team for women, either it's going to be Ole or Lansing, are going to get in to try to dethrone Chicago House, that daunting team that has looked ridiculous this year for the women's division. This past weekend, I got to call the Lansing and Jenga game. That one ended up 6-4, much closer than I thought. Jeremy Kleppel got injured later in the first half and did not return until the very end, kind of in a defensive role. So we saw some other Lansing City players stepping up. I saw a huge step up from Beto Espinal. He was really an anchor without Kleppel on the floor for all that time. Ethan Castaneda played really good. And Jenga, they were more in the game than I thought they would be, and they actually had a couple of chances near the goal that they just really needed to deflect the ball in the correct direction, and it would have been a goal. It was at least 2, I believe. And they also gave up a second penalty goal. I think they gave up 2 second penalties, but one of them scored, if I'm not mistaken, and then they gave up a 6-meter penalty inside the arc. So if you kind of add those together, it could have been 6-4 the other way. Which is an interesting way to look at it. They flew the keeper for probably over half the game. I think it was maybe like 60 to 70% of the game they were flying the keeper. And they only got scored on once on an empty net goal. And that was one thing that if you're Lansing, I think you really have to punish that more. And I think that's why the score was so close, because they only got scored on one time with that. Jenga did. And they were able to put 5 attackers up, on offense for so much of the game. So, that was kind of what happened in the Lansing Jenga game. Lansing comes away with the victory, and they'll face Ole on Saturday. Let's see. Ole versus Chicago for ladies, and then Chicago will smoke them. Ole versus Chicago. Chicago walking away comfortably. Chicago women are another level. Chicago women might be the best in the country from what I've seen. It's going to be, if Chicago lose in the final, I think that'll be a big surprise because they have looked very good. And we're going to talk with Yuridia Hernandez later tonight, which is going to be awesome to hear from her. But a big task for either Lansing or Ole, whoever makes it to the final, to beat Chicago. The other game this past weekend, the other quarterfinal, Imperial versus Chicago House. Didn't get to catch all of that game, but Davide Poche was like 4 goals, 1 assist, I think. Chicago were down most of the game, I think by like 3 or 4. Might have been like 4-0 at halftime, or maybe it was like, I think they were down 3 or 4 at half, and then early on in the second half, they came back and made it a little bit close, and they actually made a run at the end, but they had really given up too many goals to make it close. But they had a couple of quick ones near the end, and had they not given up one of the goals near the end, I think they could have pushed it to a 1 or 2 goal margin with only a few minutes left. But Detroit handled that and seemed to handle it pretty well. And they're full strength coming in to face Shoreline, which is going to be a really exciting game. If you're in the chat, let me know, is there one of the games that you're most excited for this weekend? Because there's a lot of good ones to pick from. So let me know in the chat. All of them are going to be happening at the Lansing City Arena. I believe it was due to some scheduling issues with the home facilities of the higher seeds because of the shorter time they have to schedule, and making sure that all the teams can be available and that kind of thing. So I believe that was kind of why it ended up happening at the arena. So that is the recap. Let's zoom in to the first game, Friday night, 9:15 p.m., number 2 Shoreline City versus number 3 Detroit Imperial. And, of course, that last match in Detroit, Shoreline scored 3 in the final 43 seconds to end up winning by 2. Wow. These games are I just think these games are going to be so exciting this weekend. Of course, Detroit Imperial, they want to get this one back. This memory, I'm sure, is not welcome in their brains. They don't want it. Giving up 3 goals in under a minute is not fun to think about. So they want to get rid of that, and they want to come out and take it to Shoreline. Of course, Davide didn't play a lot of the game. They were without Abdullah Saleh as well, and Shoreline were without Alex Mendez. So we're really going to see both these teams at full strength for an entire 40 minutes, hopefully. And it is going to be, like I said, at the Lansing City Arena, which is a little bit bigger court than what Detroit had in the regular season, specifically length. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays in. Detroit did well against Chicago House in the quarterfinal, where they did rearrange the court to make it larger to kind of meet the standards. But it'll be interesting to see how these two teams playing again on a slightly larger court will impact, because when it comes to length, even just a little bit of difference can really impact the game quite a bit. I think Ole Lansing will be a barn burner, anticipating a match similar to the first meeting this year. Emerson scored a dagger off the punt against Chicago. I didn't see that. I'll want to. Shoreline City, hearing from Alex, he was talking about their game against Lansing be one of the best games that they kind of put together from start to finish, as well as the game against Ole. And what's going to be the difference? I think Emerson Mena has been a big difference for Detroit Imperial in a lot of games. Davide Depoche has a great impact. He needs to stay, of course, on the floor, and I think he's done better at that this year. The Mendez trio of Shoreline City has performed very well this year. It's going to be tough to get past them, but this is one of those where I would think that the hunger would go more in favor of Detroit. They seem like a team that is just really hungry for the competition and to, not to say that Shoreline isn't, but, in Detroit Imperial, they were FCS champs 2 years ago. They missed out on the finals last year. They had a couple disappointing results that caused them to need to play an extra game this year in the playoffs. And then of course this bitter taste in their mouth of this last game. I feel like they kind of have that edge of that hunger, but Shoreline City, very good team, and particularly I think the supporting cast around the Mendez trio has looked very much better as the season has gone on. And as Alex mentioned just a little bit ago, their ability to finish games and to not take their foot off the gas has also improved as well. That was one of the things that impressed me the most leaving Muskegon when we saw I was able to see in person the Lansing and Shoreline game at the end of the year, and seeing how Shoreline played there compared to what I had seen, at the beginning of the season. I think that was the biggest thing that stuck with me is the improvement of some of those supporting cast players and putting a whole match together, because I really didn't see in that game a drop off in the second half, and even a huge drop off in when Alex and Aldoni would come off, when Chris would come off. I think we saw that be much better. So The issue with Detroit is composure. Things get rough and wheels tend to come off the bus. Shoreline is steady Eddie. Yeah, we'll see. I think Detroit's experience has been, we have talked about that before. Coach Pierce has talked about lack of composure. I think it's been mostly better this year. It seems like most of the time they kind of get antagonized and then they kind of lash out. So they often, I think, feel like they, are punished and the other team isn't. But sometimes it's just how it comes out. But yeah, we'll see. I think this is going to be a really interesting match. I think it's going to be one that you don't want to miss. Very excited to see how this one turns out. Let's turn our attention to the number 1 versus the number 4, Olay versus Lansing City. In the season series, Olay swept both games, winning both of them. 6-4 away in the Lansing City Arena and 10-6 at home. I think I saw this earlier. I think Olay Lansing will be a barn burner. I'm anticipating a match similar to the first meeting this season at Lansing. Yeah, and honestly, even though the second game was 10-6, it was actually very close, and it was nearly a 1-goal game. I think it was like 90 seconds or so to play. Jack Fisher came on the floor. I think maybe he couldn't get there till later, so he came on later, and then he kind of provided some fresh legs, I think, and he either scored or he might have scored. But I know that at around the 90-second mark, Lansing City was down by 2, I believe, and then he went in and he scored, or he hit the post at the very end of that, like right around the 90-second mark, and it would have made it a 1-goal game instead of a 2, and then Olay scored kind of like right after that, and then one more to make it 4. So even though the second game was a 4-goal game, it was actually quite competitive and at times even closer. I don't know if you could say closer, but it was also very good, just like the first one. But yeah, I think this is a playoff matchup that I was really hoping to see. It seems like we always get great futsal when these two teams line up against each other. Some thought that this could be the final matchup. I think it was maybe Frankie Mendoza of Olay or maybe Cesar Alayo earlier this year who said he thought that they would see Lansing in the finals. But it's in the semifinals, and only one will move on to the finals. What do you think is going to happen in this one? I think goalkeepers will make a big difference. Lansing City has done much better this year at not shooting themselves in the foot, and a lot of that has to do with the maturity of their young players. So if that maturity continues, as we've seen, if Ethan Castaneda plays how we've seen him be able to play, and Jack Fisher and Drew Barney as well, and we see some of the other players for Lansing like Beto Espinal has been, I think his impact has really increased as the year has gone on. We saw Alessandro Blanco have a lot of impact, especially earlier on. We've seen less of him. And so seeing where he might come into play, I think will make a big deal. And for Olay, do they have any tricks up their sleeve? Do they have any it seems like for games like this, they're, of course, bringing everything that they have. Sometimes it's, I think Gabe Villagomez made an appearance for at least one game this year against Shoreline. I don't know if he played in some of the other ones, but are they going to have, will he be playing? Are there some players that played, for a couple of matches? I think they're going to be full strength. Of course, their biggest strength in my eyes is that just the consistency across all the lines. They punish all the little mistakes, and that's what Lansing City is going to have to minimize if they want to win this game. But I expect this one to be competitive. I definitely expect it to be competitive. This one also is going to be at the Lansing City Arena because of some scheduling conflicts. So it turns out that Lansing City gets the home game, which is obviously backwards for how it should be. But that was the end result of the scheduling. So very interesting, very exciting. Both these games, top 4 seeds. Tell me what you think in the chat. But to me, I think this was a great result for the Final 4 teams in the FCS this year. I think we saw potential from Chicago House, but they didn't quite get there. Midwest, had the history of being good, and then some things fell apart for them. And so I think after that, it was, after that, it was these are the top 4 teams, I think, without a doubt. So I think that, the season that did what it should have done, and we have the top 4 teams. We have the some amazing semifinals right here this weekend. Last one is the women's play-in match, which is number 2 Olay versus number 3 Lansing City, and Chicago House is awaiting the winner in next week finals. This one, I think these two teams, when they played the first game, it seemed like a closer game than the second time they played. I could be mistaken, but that's kind of how it felt to me. I think Lansing is definitely had a lot of growth through the year. They were very new to futsal, and the team was new, and so we might see, I think from their perspective, they're trying to show something even greater than what we've seen. And from Olay's perspective, I think they, want to take care of business and get back to the game with Chicago. I think that's the one that they're really thinking a lot about. Sidlali Luna has performed well this year, and we've seen Kirsten Karanik a couple of times, through the year. They definitely want to get back to facing that Chicago House team that has seen so good. So looks like Caesar Lyle jumped in the chat. What's up, Caesar? How's it going, man? Cool. That's going to do it for these games that are coming up. We already talked about the predictions, but I am going to mention that we also have the finals for the futures are all set. Let's take a look at this right now. So on finals day, March 28th, these are your FCS Futures finals matches from U10 in the top left to U16 on the bottom right. Guatemala versus Olay Futsal. Alex Mendez will be coaching the Guatemala team, bringing them to the finals, starting bright and early at 8:20 a.m. And then in the U12s, Lansing City versus Olay. U14, Lansing City versus Shoreline. And U16, Shoreline versus Olay Futsal. And then immediately following the 135 U16 finals will be the women's final and then the men's final right after that. We can actually just take a look at what that bracket looks like. Of course, here's the women's one, the playing game this Saturday, March 21st. Winner goes to face Chicago House. And for the men, this is where we're at. The 1 versus the 4, the 2 versus the 3 for the right to play in the Lansing City Arena for the finals. Who will be the 2026 champion this year? Aiden Hanson's U16s will be there. They're undefeated for the finals, for the futures. We actually saw some great some of the futures games we were able to broadcast. We saw some really competitive matches. There was actually one that came down to I don't know which division it was. It was Lansing City and Olay. It might be the U12s, which if it is, that'd be amazing because they're playing in the finals again. But it literally came down to like the very end. It was back and forth all game, and then Lansing City scored with like 3 seconds left or something to win. It was crazy. So Caesar Lyle looking to go back-to-back with Olay. That's what they got their sights set on. They want to go 28-0-1 is where they're trying to get to. And right now, they're at 26-0-1 since joining in the, November 2024. So, awesome. That's going to wrap up this portion of the broadcast. We have one more portion for you. It's we're going to welcome Yuridia Hernandez to the show. Unfortunately, she wasn't available tonight, but we were able to get a pre-recorded interview with her. Jake George did that. So, this will be the final portion. Stick around and see what she has to say. And then on the other side, we'll say good night. So thanks so much for joining, and we'll see you guys later.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the Third Half podcast tonight. Unusual face for you. Jake here instead of Jared for this particular interview. It's a pre-recording, but please make sure you still sound off in the comments and show your support for our very special guest, Yuridia Hernandez. Yuri, welcome to the stream/recording.
Thank you for having me, of course.
Yeah, of course. We're happy to have you. And it's especially good timing in the lead up to what's ahead. But before we get to that, I want to ask you more about the beginnings of all this. So tell me how you found futsal or how futsal found you.
Yeah, so at a young age, me and my brother, like we had a coach and he started up his own team and it was Windy City Futsal. So from there, we're definitely like his first couple people. And from there it just kept building. So we would just go to trainings, we would hang out with coach and his kids a lot and sadly he passed away. So we continued his legacy and from there we got an opportunity to bring it to house and we just kept going. So we've been going for a while.
That's amazing. How old were you when you started?
I'd say I was about maybe 10, 9.
10?
I was pretty young, yeah.
And did you play soccer before that, or were you was that your first real start at anything like this?
Yeah, so when I started futsal, it was a little bit after I had started soccer. I didn't really like soccer when I was younger, which is kind of surprising,
Oh,
but
really?
yeah, I like hated it. Like I would cry on the field. And
Oh,
then
no way.
yeah, yeah, I never thought I would play soccer. And then I don't know, we just kept going to my brother's soccer games and futsal trainings, and I was like, "Oh, why not?" So then I kind of just tried up again. My parents were like, "Do you want to do this again for real, or are we just gonna put you in and take you out again?" But I mean, I watched him play, and he looked like he was having fun, so I wanted to try it out again. And then now we're here.
So was it the same for you starting futsal at first, not quite in love with it? Did it take some time to warm up on you?
No, that's the weird part. In futsal, I don't know. It was very different. Like the adrenaline, it really gets to you. So when I would step on the court, it was very fun. I think it also helped with the environment that we had. So I mean, that's definitely that's something that impacts it a lot. The environment in what we were in, and our coach, he was amazing. He was really fun.
It's definitely something that's understated, I think, is how important having someone like that is to helping you fall in love with the
Yeah,
sport. That's so important, especially at a young age.
yeah,
So
for
important.
sure.
So
Yeah.
that's cool to hear that was part of your journey. You mentioned your brother and your family. I know in Chicago, it really is a family affair for you guys. So tell me a little bit about that and how that maybe changes your experience compared to maybe someone who doesn't have that.
Yeah, I think it definitely makes us less available for family events. I mean, we obviously still go, but it's much more of a challenge to be able to be with family constantly. And I mean, we're always around each other, like me, my mom, and my siblings. So I guess it brings us together closer. And I don't know, it's just fun. It feels like we're in our own little world, just
That's cool.
traveling the world.
That's really cool. So does it make any does it create another level of feeling of support that way, knowing your family is right there with you
Oh,
through this
yeah.
whole journey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everywhere we go, they're always there. Even if they're not, it always feels like it because we're so used to it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
It
cool.
it helps a lot. It helps a lot.
Well, and then your brother, of course, playing in FCS as well for the men's team. And
Yeah,
remind
he
me,
is.
is he older than you? Slightly older?
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
is.
he's 19, I'm 17. Yeah.
So what's that like having an older brother in the league? And is there any kind of healthy or unhealthy sibling rivalry that goes along with that?
And I mean, I think there's always gonna be sibling rivalry, but it definitely helps us push each other. I think in training, especially in training, because we train with the boys. So I mean, their physicality is much different than ours. So we really like have fun at practice. So when we train, we just go at it, and it's so fun, especially with him. Like I'll get him mad, or he'll get me mad, and we'll just go at it. But I think that helps a lot, especially in our development and playing with these women in the league. It obviously helps.
That's awesome. Well, and then
Yeah,
you guys with the men's and the women's teams travel together a lot or at the same sites for the day. So does
yeah,
tell me a little bit about that experience and how it compares to, obviously you have your family there with you a lot of the time, if
yeah.
not all the time, but how has that changed the dynamic of the teams?
It's insane. If you get to come to one of our trainings, you'll be cracking up. You'll probably grow abs by how much you laugh. It's insane. Like we'll just be like we'll get serious and then we'll just start cracking out laughing. And it's like it's so fun. I don't know. I think though since how much we train with each other, we get so comfortable and like I personally I call all the everybody in the boys team they feel like brothers to me. And I don't know, I feel really blessed, and it's not something you find a lot, which is kind of concerning, but it happens. And I don't know, their environment is really fun.
That's really cool. Well, and it seems like you and the rest of your team are really tight as well. I mean, obviously, you guys are training
Yeah,
together and spending a lot of time on the road together, but to see that as an extension to both sides, I think is really interesting and unique.
yeah,
I mean, obviously, some other teams go through that too, but I'm not sure if they go through it quite to the extent because I believe you guys even travel together to the games. Is that right?
yeah. That's even worse. Imagine boys and girls in the same bus, and we have such a high energy. Like in our games, you could see it. We're just messing around. We're just trying to have fun, and we try bringing that positive energy to the boys, and it just riles them up, and we just sometimes go insane in the bus.
That's awesome. Well, and I think we've seen some moments like that with you guys in the crowd too, where you guys are cheering on the boys and they're cheering you on, and it's
Yeah,
it's a really cool thing to see. And uh, tell me, because Chicago House new to futsal, correct? This is the first season.
yeah. This is our first official season with House making it into a league. Yeah,
So did you guys? I mean, obviously there is some history in futsal, but coming to a new club and creating your own culture, within that club. Tell me a little bit about that in those early goings and what's made it so successful and make it stand out so much.
yeah. I mean, we've always been with House. I played with their outdoor team, so I was kind of familiar to some faces. And I think when we first got the opportunity, it was definitely rough trying to get people in. But like I said, the environment that we had, especially with the boys, that helped a lot. And me personally with the girls, because we almost all of us play in the same club, so we see each other a lot. So it was pretty easy to just try playing together. I mean, they love futsal, I love futsal, we love futsal. So it was pretty easy to get them all together and onto the plan to come play for the league. But yeah, I think they help so much to build this team. I think if it wasn't for them, we would have been. I don't think we would have been in the league, but really blessed.
That's cool. Well, you guys certainly bring a team culture that's very apparent from even from home watching the streams. So
Yeah,
been really cool to watch you guys grow. Um, with the sibling rivalry we talked about with you and Rafa, but also with the boys team and your team, different results so far this season. They did make it to the playoffs, but a little
yeah.
rockier road to it than what you guys have experienced. Does that little bit of bragging rights bleed into your training sessions? Are you
Oh
guys
yeah.
egging them on and let them know like, hey, listen, we're
Oh yeah.
we're the best representation of house or what?
Of course, especially me. They hate
Yeah.
me. Yeah, but like I said, I don't know. They're really funny. So I mean, they goes to one ear and it comes out the other. They either come back at it. They're like, oh, you're gonna bring that to the league, and I don't know. Like I said, their environment is just amazing. So even if we tease them, they're like, yeah, whatever. We'll get them next year.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Well, take me through a home game experience for you guys. What's the prep look like? What's going through your mind? And then, when that whistle starts the game to, what's that look like for you as a player?
Yeah, so me, maybe the night before, I like to help my mom a lot. Sometimes we'll go to the facility and we'll just get everything prepared. We'll start taping courts, getting our locker room ready. Um, Game day, we wake up pretty early just to get there, with like maybe 3 hours before the game, 2, 3 hours. And usually we'll begin like the speakers, the goals, and just me, I like to mentally just zone in. So I'll get there, wait for the girls to come. Once we get there, we'll start jamming to music. We put the speaker on max volume, and we just mess around. We are a team that just is in the locker room, quiet, just sitting there trying to get each other like mentally ready. I think the way that we are to get ourselves ready is just pump each other up. Music on blast, everybody messing around. Where we get a lot of fruit in there, so we just eat cuties. That's like the number one hit, cuties and
Oh
bread.
yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
So yeah, we'll start juggling. We'll stretch a little bit, mess around for a little bit, and then just come out to the court and ball and do what we do.
That's really cool. So it sounds like, from what you were talking about earlier with some of the trips that you do, even with the boys, like sounds like the mentality is the same. It just starts on the bus instead of starting in the locker room. Is that
Yeah.
accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for us, yeah, we're always on a high. I think the boys it takes a little bit longer, but once they're together on the locker room locked in, they put the music on max as well. It's just pretty funny.
That's cool. That's cool. How do you sustain that on something like a road trip? So you went through a home game for us. What about an away game? How do you keep that energy for that whole trip?
It's even worse.
Is it?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so we'll be leaving pretty early, because we have bathroom breaks, and then we try stopping to eat. Usually it's not too heavy. But yeah, like we'll be pumping music. We'll play Heads Up 7 Up. Sometimes we'll play card games, and we're just messing around, especially with the boys. And then, I mean, we're not very separated on the bus. We all like to be in the back of the bus. Everybody, all the boys, we mix in, we play. And I mean, when we get there, we support each other. Even all the boys, let's go. Even in the crowd, you can hear them, which is pretty fun. It definitely rouses up even more, especially on home games. Like we've always set a standard. Like when we're away, we want to make it seem like it's our home game.
Well, and you guys have definitely succeeded in that. I mean, there's a game that stands out to me early in the season. I think it was Shoreline City, and I think you guys played before them.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, you guys stayed and cheered them
Yep.
on. And at one point they were down by quite a bit, and they rallied. And it seemed like a lot of that had to do with your guys' presence. And we could see you guys on camera jumping up and down for them and getting hype. And it was I remember talking to a couple other people afterwards saying like, man, that did not feel like a Shoreline home game. That felt pretty like a neutral ground at the very most. It was cool. So that's really neat.
Yeah, I remember the third half. I think it was one of the boys from Shoreline a couple weeks after. He had said that that he was getting annoyed during the game. It was pretty funny. And I was like, we did it. We got them mad. I was like, it worked. We were pretty close to getting our comeback, but it is what it is. We just like to have fun.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, let's really focus on you guys now. We've talked about a little bit of the whole the team as a whole, but the important thing is focusing on your guys' journey. So you finished the season undefeated. You faced some pretty tough opponents along the way, and still win fairly confidently in both those games against Olay. And personally, I know you had 7 goals this season, 4 assists, and I believe that you didn't miss a single game either, right? You played in all 6 games.
No, I've played in all 6.
So tell me about what that road to success has been, and it sounds like you've spoken to quite a bit of it already as far as what's making you guys so successful. It sounds like that calm and that togetherness has been important. But tell me more about that. What's the effort been like for you individually in your first season in FCS, and for the team?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely nervous coming into the league. We didn't know what to expect. Obviously, this is a new part to the league, so I think again, sound like a broken record. Definitely, mostly of the environment. I think the girls we are with, we know what we have, and we're not afraid to show it. I think you can see it in our games, how we play, how confident we are, so the skills that we do, and just how much fun we have. I think that's what makes us strive. But yeah, I mean, we're excited. I don't know what else to say. We're just excited.
That's so cool. Has the league I don't know what your expectations were going into the league. Has it met expectations? Has it been easier or harder than you expected?
Yeah, I think we believed in ourselves. I know we wanted to set a high standard from the beginning. When my dad had that interview after a couple of showcases a year ago, I was like, I want to do it, Dad. We're both gonna make it. If it's not both of us, then it's one of us. So I mean, just blessed that we were able to make it to the championship, and I think we have met our standards, and I think we could do a lot more.
That's awesome. Yeah, you guys have definitely have been very exciting to watch, and have brought a lot of entertainment value to the fans. And I know some neutral fans, or at least started that way around me out here in Ohio, have become Chicago House fans watching you guys. So you guys should definitely be proud of what you've brought to the table.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
now we've got the championship that you guys are looking forward to. There's 1 game left. All those other results almost don't matter anymore. What's the mindset for you guys, especially with such a long break in between games for you guys, having a couple weeks off? How are you staying sharp, and how are you guys preparing for the championship?
Yeah, I think we just have to keep dialing in, just showing up to training. We've been doing pretty good. I know right now high school season's starting. So I mean, this first couple weeks after our last game was a little bit rough, but I think we're getting back into it. And yeah, we're just excited. Training are really intense. Coaches are not going easy. They're any minor details or mistakes that we do, they call it out right away because we know that we're better than that and that we're gonna win.
Is that hard bouncing back and forth between the outdoor game and the indoor game? Since I mean, there's some similarities and some skills that translate, but there's a lot of the way the style of play is drastically different. What's that been like
Yeah.
having to juggle both those at the same time?
I mean, for me, it's been pretty easy. Being around futsal for this amount of time, I adjust pretty easily. So whenever we go outside, I just use a bunch of futsal moves because I'm in the futsal mode, which is pretty funny. I mean, for me personally, it's not that big of a change. I think it just heightens my game a lot more, especially outdoors, having a lot more space than futsal. So I have more fun in soccer now that I have the futsal background, being able to take on players, deal with small spaces, and just being used to little things like that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
For me personally, I didn't play obviously at this level that you guys are playing at, but uh, switching back and forth in those in between periods could sometimes be tough.
Yeah.
For me, my problem was more trying to use the sole of my foot with cleats instead of other parts
Yeah.
of my foot. But
Trust me,
uh,
I've run into that problem as well. It's
yeah,
funny.
yeah, you get a little stuck, but that's okay. You still stick the ball to the bottom of the foot. It's there. But I'm curious too. You guys, a lot of your team is younger and is either finishing high school or maybe early years of college. Is that a distraction for you guys at all, or how do you manage that as well? Having that school load and at your guys' age that you have to deal with as well. And now there's this extra wrinkle of okay, outdoor on top of futsal on top of school.
Yeah. I think just the coaches obviously having understanding that we're still in high school. So we have, I mean, homework obviously and trying not to get home too late to finish it or doing homework on the way. That's usually what I do. I would get I'd go to school, have high school practice right after, maybe come home for an hour, just relax, change into futsal clothes, and then just do my homework on the way. Cause that's what I gotta do if we want to win. But yeah, I think they have a really good understanding with us and just they're really patient with us, which helps a lot.
That's great. Is you obviously have your studying with your schoolwork, and then the other things we talked about. Are you guys studying film even though you're familiar with your opponents up to this point, or how? What's the balance
Yeah.
between time on the court and time kind of analyzing what the other team's been doing?
Yeah, so towards the beginning of the season, we were doing a little bit of films because we didn't have games in the beginning for a little bit, and then after that, once we started playing everybody, we kind of knew how they played and what they like to do. So I think our group is really smart, so we're able to adapt to that. I mean, I feel we know each other's flaws and disadvantages, so I think that also helps. Just having high IQ players in our team and just being confident with ourselves. And if we're running into trouble, just we ask each other, or we're just locked in, dialed in training.
That's great. So are you guys going to be
Yeah.
watching the this play in live this weekend, or what's the
Oh
plan?
yeah.
You guys doing that together as a team?
Yeah. I want to try to. I haven't reached out yet, but I want to. I want to get a little watch party.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
Any
Yeah,
predictions?
it'll be fun. I don't
I'm
know.
just gonna
I
put
think
you on
it'll
the spot.
be me. I think Lansing might pull it out. I'm gonna be completely honest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I heard their keeper. She looks pretty prepared. I think they would have a chance. I think it would be a really tight game, but I think they might be able to pull it out.
What is it about Lansing that makes you think they're going to have the edge? You mentioned the
I
keeper.
don't know.
Is there
I
anything
feel
else?
yeah. I think I don't know when we played them that second time their intensity was a lot higher. I think knowing now that they have higher stakes, I think they'll just rile it up by 10. So we'll see. I
Kind
th-
of
I
that nothing
think
to lose
I
mentality,
think it
right?
might be yeah. It'll be a close game though.
And then what do you think about Olay? What do you think are the advantages they have going into the game?
I think when we played them, obviously their set plays. were pretty good. But I mean, other than that, I think their set plays are pretty good. They have a lot of talented players as well, young, and yeah, their coach is amazing. I've been hearing a lot of good things, and he's been doing futsal for a while. So I think that's a really big advantage that they have in their team. So we'll see how it goes.
That's great. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be an exciting match, and I think that it's playoff season, so anything can happen, which is always exciting.
Yeah.
So looking ahead to the championship, what's the plan? Are you guys getting into town? Are you settling into the arena and enjoying some other games, or what's things going to look like for you on the championship?
Yeah, I think we'll probably be there a little bit early. Just get settled. Try not to be rushing, take some time to chill, eat, and just have fun, and we'll see how it goes.
And what are you looking forward to most for the championship? Is there anything with this being a more special match? You guys have made it through the regular season, you've done the grind. Is there anything you're specifically looking forward to on that championship day?
The trophy. That's it.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's my tunnel vision right now. Trophy.
That's fantastic.
I want it.
Well, and then you guys, it's like I think you mentioned this earlier as we were talking. It's the first season ever for the women. So, any closing thoughts on the women's division and why people should be watching, especially during the playoffs?
Oh yeah, I think FCS has done a very, very, very good job promoting the women and the men. I think the women have been definitely developing in the futsal aspect around the world, and I think this FCS has a lot of talent that people should be looking out for. And if you want to ever try futsal, come to the FCS, come to either team, try out, because we got a lot of talent over here. So yeah, it'll be exciting. Even tune in, just watch a game. It'll be exciting.
That's awesome. Well, I think that what you guys are doing is great for women's sports, especially futsal, of course, but for sports as a whole. And I know you've certainly inspired some people. So great work on the season so far. Job's not done. I know you got the championship ahead. So I want to wish you the best of luck and to the team. And I want to thank everyone for tuning into this recording of the interview with Yuridia. Yuridia, thank you so much for spending some time with us and letting us take a sneak peek into your life as a futsaler in FCS.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for tuning in to the Third Half podcast tonight. I'm Jared Kleppel, and we hope to see you all this weekend for some awesome playoff action. Only one more week till the finals. But don't miss the semis and the women's play-in before that this weekend. We'll see you guys then.
We're NMDP, and we're out here saving lives. Relentlessly seeking donors so patients can live their dreams. Like Mia's dream of finding a match and pressing play on life. Noah's dream of climbing the ladder. Or Zoe's dream of a tiny house and a giant dog. Together, we have the power to cure blood disorders like leukemia and sickle cell disease. But we need more donors, people, and the donor we need could be you.
Committing a crime so you can try to escape from prison. Bad idea. Go into the pod escape room to play an escape game with your friends. Great idea. Test your skill as an astronaut in outer space. Find Santa in Save Christmas. Or take a vacation to an abandoned island. Just don't get stuck there. The Pod Escape Room. Learn more at thepodlansing.com.
Together, we have the power to cure blood disorders like leukemia and sickle cell disease. But we need more donors, people. And the donor we need could be you.